Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, in his address to the UNGA, once again, as expected, raised the issue of Kashmir. Glorified as self-proclaimed commander of a terrorist organization, the Hizbul Mujahideen, thereby indicating his open support for terrorism. India exposed his false claims layer by layer, proving that Pakistan is a terrorist state. And Pakistan has been shamed before the world. All the major terrorist activity across the world seems to have a Pakistani link. Now, using the right to reply to the Pakistan Prime Minister's UN General Assembly address, India's First Secretary, Ainam Gambhir, said Pakistan is a terrorist state which actively abets terror acts in various places. And while India has been at the receiving end of Pakistan's use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy, the world too has now begun to realize that the export of terrorists trained in Pakistan have caused attacks worldwide.
Mr. President, shortly before Pakistan gave its hypocritical sermons in this august House today, its envoy in New Delhi was summoned in the context of the most recent of the terror attacks in Uri that claimed 18 Indian lives. That terrorist attack is a part of a trail of continuous flow of terrorists trained and armed by our neighbor and tasked to carry out terrorist attack in my country. What we see in Pakistan, Mr. President, is a terrorist state which analyzes billions of dollars, much of it diverted from international aid to training, financing and supporting terrorist groups as militant proxies against its neighbors. Pakistan is a country with democracy deficit. In fact, it practices terrorism on its own people. It extends support to extremist groups, it suppresses minorities and women, and denies basic human rights, including through draconian laws. As a democracy, India is firmly resolved to protect all our citizens from all acts of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. We cannot and will not allow terrorism to prevail.
Well, Ainam Gambhir further lambasted Pakistan for supporting terror networks across its land, and India also lamented the course that Pakistan has taken since the past many years that has taken this ancient land of learning, TAKSHILA, and made it a place which exports terrorism.
The land of TAKSHILA, one of the greatest learning centers of ancient times, is now host to the Ivy League of terrorism. It attracts aspirants and apprentices from all over the world. The effect of its toxic curriculum are felt across the globe. It is ironical, therefore, that we have seen today the preaching of human rights and ostensible support for self-determination by a country which has established itself as the global epicenter of terrorism.
Well, India also made it clear that Pakistan has been exporting terrorists as proxies, and the Uri attack is the latest in a long list of such attacks. And while describing the reality of the deep state within Pakistan, India also highlighted the huge human rights violations by the Pakistani state against its own people.
The worst violation of human rights is terrorism. When practiced as an instrument of state policy, it is a war crime. What my country and other neighbors in our region are facing today is Pakistan's long-standing policy of sponsoring terrorism, the consequences of which have spread well beyond our region. Mr. President, only last week, the international community honored the memory of thousands of innocent victims from around the world who lost their lives not far from here in New York 15 years ago in a most horrifying terror attack. The world has not yet forgotten that the trail of that dastardly attack led all the way to Abbottabad in Pakistan.